What is up, everybody? It's me, Duke Farley, back at it again here on Lost at Sea. And tonight I am joined by a season two Ascendance Live alum, someone that got almost to the end of the game, but starting to hear myself in the background there, Jodilly. Um,
Sorry, should I go on mute? Let me try closing Chrome, see if that helps. Did that change anything? Are you still hearing
but
something?
I don't think I hear anything. I don't think I hear myself talking, but you guys hear Jodilly here. So Jodilly, you are joining us live here on Lost at Sea to talk about episode 9. How have you been? What's going on?
Yeah. Oh, I've been well. I've been amazing. Clearly, the diet of nothing but hating on Drew Olson does well. I'm so happy that I've been able to stay in shape through that way. JK, JK, JK. I've been well, I've been really enjoying this season. There are some close personal friends of mine that are on this season, and of course, new loves that I found along the way. So I've been having the time of my life, every week coming on and seeing and putting up. And I feel honored. I feel like usually you have to win a version of Ascendance to speak to you about these matters. I feel underdressed. I don't know. I'm so happy I'm here.
Well, you don't have to be a winner. Just ask Scott Link. He comes on the podcast every now and then, and he did not win. So in the comments, let him
Shout
know.
out,
But
please.
Jodie, we had such a fun episode today. We see a fan favorite. People were really a winner pick of a lot of people. AJ go home here, with one vote,
Mhm.
gets pendant up powered out of the game.
Oh,
What did you think of this
honest,
tragedy?
listen, as someone who had to sit there and be next to someone who was one vote pended it out twice in my season, I can't imagine the heart drop that happened when all of them saw Josh come out and use this. Maybe we're jumping too far ahead, but like especially I can't imagine being Rory Franklin Sargalis after just having conflict with this man and thinking you have the numbers. And then of course, Josh pulls it out. I really didn't know if I expected CJ to give it to Josh or not. I feel like CJ sounded consistent that he wanted to get rid of the target on his back for it. I didn't mean that meant giving him the pendant. But yes, for AJ, I am shocked to see him go. I think he may have shot himself a little bit in the foot in the sense of I felt like he kept on bringing up his physical game to other people and being like, I'm a big threat when maybe they weren't necessarily thinking about that. But two, I was shocked that at the end of it, AJ and Taylor didn't repeat their strategy that they did at the double of throwing at least one vote. I know we got to hear AJ's insight on that, but I'm still shocked that they didn't go through with it. So I'm shocked that it was pulled off, really.
Right. I mean, we saw them have the conversation upstairs about, you should throw the vote. Maybe, Taylor was trying to guide AJ to throw a vote. And he says
Mhm.
that he's okay leaving here, being loyal to the soil, I guess, and sticking with his word. But I was super shocked that we did not see either AJ or Sarah throw a vote. I was thinking it was going to come down to four Josh votes and then one AJ, one Sarah, and then we would have gone to a revote. But super shocked to see five five Josh votes. I was,
5 on.
yeah.
Honestly, you didn't expect Sarah to throw. Do you think she would have thrown a vote on AJ?
I That's what I was thinking. I was thinking that she was going to throw a vote on AJ and AJ do the same up to her.
Mm. I will say it was a real tough spot to be in. I guess it's been kind of boiling the past couple of episodes, but I didn't expect Rory to like be this against Josh,
Yeah.
which I mean, it's kind of a tough spot of like yes, Josh flipped on his alliance with Rory to eliminate Billy in the past, but does that mean Josh is your number one target that you should go for, or do you try and isolate someone who was at the core of that other alliance? It's kind of a tough call to make. And I guess it was like correct answer is Josh, period. I can't say I was expecting that.
Right. Yeah. I'm also surprised with Rory kind of being, he really took the offensive approach in getting Josh going for Josh. I was also a little surprised and taken back by that. Um, but I think that, Josh put a huge target on his back and people just don't trust him, except for CJ, I guess.
Except for CJ, except for Kira. I was surprised. Well, I was surprised to see that Kira was in the laundry room with Josh, like kind of laying out the positives for why CJ should not necessarily save Josh. I saw it more as like, this is why you need to give this idol away and get it out as soon as possible. I I did I do think that was the alliance that was like kind of like teased earlier
No
of
fear.
like
Oh, of the
no, it was made
the
this
black
episode.
wristband team that won this round.
Ollie, yeah, Ollie, CJ, Kira, Ozzy. And they were like talking about if we stick together and be true, let's do it. And I remember thinking, like, I don't know if like CJ, those people are like the most true to CJ. But then again, who is the most true to CJ at this point? And I do see CJ and Josh like working together on this honestly kind of like the two gremlins in the corner just being like we are on the bottom, so let's go over there, which is very interesting in comparison to the other people that initially didn't want Billy to go, like kind of like Ollie, Marcelo, now AJ. I felt like they flipped on Billy, yes, partially because of the pendant, but I do think each of them individually felt like they were in the middle and that they would have like be able to turn the two sides against each other. Is that accurate? Is that inaccurate? Who knows? But like I on the other half of that coin, like CJ and Josh, I think at this point are like, honestly, we're on the bottom. I don't trust you. Let's just make a break for it. And now that AJ's out of the picture, I'm interested in seeing which of those approaches is the right one here.
Do you think that either of CJ or Josh at this point do you think they're just going to go out back to back, or do you think that they have a couple rounds where they can finagle their way um, to like not get
True.
eliminated? Yeah.
I Josh is my frat bro. I have to stand up for him, but my hopes are not the highest for Josh.
Mm.
Um, I think one of those things on top of which is just with teams and immunities and captains, like one team immunity could literally reset your whole game. So, but if Josh goes to another vote, I think it's going to be very hard to see people who are going to want to go to bat for Josh. I couldn't tell if by the end of that elimination, if CJ was trying to say, like, oh, I still have my idol, or if he was like, no, just kidding. Josh took my idol. That's my idol. But I don't even know if CJ would go to bat that hard for Josh. I don't know if Kira would go that hard to bat for Josh. It's going to be a very tough pitch the next vote Josh goes to. CJ, I do have more hope for than Josh, just because I do think the points that Josh was making to CJ, I actually agree. Like, people will treat CJ differently if they know he has an idol versus if they don't know he has an idol. And to be honest, I feel like what people have kind of been targeting CJ for, he's been showing from the beginning. Like they worry that he's over emotional, over strategic, he'll get in your face. And he has done that. He's done that multiple times now, but people have allowed that to happen and they've allowed him to get this far. So I can see it kind of being like, oh, CJ's this target, CJ's the shield. Let's keep him around. Josh getting the idol in his hand, I feel like proves he's a lot more socially dangerous, whether or not that's actually the case. So I think CJ, I definitely have more hope for CJ than Josh. But for what it's worth, I really want the two of them to be the gremlins in the corner pulling it off. I'm rooting for them, absolutely.
Yeah, I would definitely say they're positioned in an underdog role now, right? I think that CJ, obviously everybody just tried to vote Josh out. And CJ
Yeah.
just gave up his pendant of power to save Josh, so he has no protection outside of a captain win. Do you think that was the right move for
Mhm.
CJ here to play the pendant? Or would you have kept that?
First of
I
all,
feel like you would have
I
kept
cannot
that.
imagine Me, if it was me, well, I mean, I probably would have kept it. Yeah, absolutely. But just because when it comes to advantages, to my detriment, probably I'm a little bit like, this is a get out of jail free card, and you don't know when you're going to jail. So yes, keep this. I
Mm,
don't see myself using a pendant at an elimination that I'm not attending. Oh, and
right.
that's the other thing. CJ was saying at the start of this episode that like he was so shocked and taken aback, A, that Josh flipped on Billy, but that B, Kira also flipped, and they're supposed to be a super tight duo. And I found it crazy that like CJ was convinced by these two people. He just said he was the most betrayed by to use this pendant. But then again, like I try and think of like who is CJ's like number one ally. It probably is Kira or it is Josh, and the next best option is probably like Ollie or Marcelo. But to be honest, like they haven't really gone to bat for anybody. Like Ollie
Yeah.
and Marcelo really haven't stopped the flow of any tide happening. So I can see where it would be like a concern to be like, oh gosh, like maybe this is my last ditch effort. Do I think it was the correct decision? I honestly don't know. I think Josh definitely gets targeted before CJ. And in that sense, yes, if Josh goes home, CJ may be the next viable slab of meat on the table. But I also thought it was funny when they were saying like the moments before elimination cutaway, when they were like, oh, CJ's giving Josh the idol. I thought it funny that they showed it before because with normal people, if you hear them say, I swear to the Lord above, I will vote AJ, that means they're voting AJ. But I remember thinking like, they're showing that before is because Josh literally may not even pick AJ to go through with it. Like he literally could pick anyone. His credibility is a little shot. And honestly, I am kind of surprised out of everyone he picked AJ. I don't think Josh necessarily has been seen to have that close of a relationship with anyone on this team other than maybe kind of sort of Sarah. But I mean, I still think back to that night one conversation of Rocky telling Billy, like, we can't trust Josh. So I'm honestly,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
I don't
That's
know
a
what
good.
the would you have picked AJ? Do you think AJ was the best choice out of the options on the table?
Once it came up 5 votes Josh, and I realized that Josh was going to be the deciding factor of who was going to be going home, I thought
Mhm.
that we were going to see a Rocky or Taylor blindside here. I did not think he was going to pick
Mhm.
AJ. So those were the two that I thought he would have chosen just because throughout the season I have not seen him speaking to them at all. Whereas
Right.
I feel like AJ and Josh have been in some conversations. Granted, those two were kind of at each other's
Yeah.
necks during this specific elimination, but I would have thought Josh would have chosen somebody that he doesn't know, what rather than the devil that he does know.
Right. I will say when they said in the touchy subjects, sorry, the whatever they called it, touchy subjects, sorry, Nicole. When they said that the secret allies that no one knows about in this competition are Ozzy and Sarah, I was like lukewarm, I guess. Probably someone doesn't know. I was shocked to this point that no one had really seen AJ and Taylor as close as I feel like we have been seeing them. You know, they've won captains together. Billy's no longer with them. There were conveniently thrown votes at both of those votes. Like, I don't think that was taken into consideration for AJ's elimination, but I was really impressed by how under people's noses those two had potentially been. But now that it's split up, I am kind of excited to see. I think this is the first time that multiple people there haven't got their way. I think this is the first time Taylor hasn't got her way. I think this is the first time Rocky hasn't got his way. I'm excited to see how they handle the next round because I don't think they take I think they have tempers, and I'm excited to potentially see that develop.
I'm excited to see that too. This is probably the first time they've, like you said, had any adversity and not getting their way in a vote. But I do think that even though they didn't get their way here, um, that the people that they are aligned with, like Rocky, Taylor. I could see them working now with Ozzy and
Ozzy.
Sarah. And I just feel like those players have more of their shit together right now, whereas the other players like the CJ and Josh, even
Not so
Rory
much.
to an extent, are kind of just like all over the place, not
Wasting time.
really
Yeah.
wasting time. And I feel like once something solidifies on this other side, I feel like it's going to be a game of, okay, it's just too late at this point. It's just going to get picked off.
Yeah. I will say, I wasn't sure if I was feeling the Sarah Marie Sparks experience. I wasn't sure if I was feeling the gameplay, I wasn't feeling the number. I would say between the last two rounds, seeing Sarah have to fight for her life against Billy Stevens of all people. And this time around, that as much as Rory wants to hug her and say, this team wasn't set up against you, that's still a very hard team, whether it was intentional or not. I feel like she let it flow like water off a duck's back. And I've been really these past two episodes, I've been really enjoying the Sarah Marie Sparks experience. I think I've had a lot of fun watching her.
Do you think that she's playing, even better now that Jake is hosting some of these competitions? Do you think that's giving her a sense of home?
You know what? You know what? No, because if I was Sarah, I think it's cute to see her family there. The two rounds her brother has hosted, she has been a name that's thrown out. So at this point, I would be like, Jake, get out of the house. No,
That's a
no
good
more
point.
Majestic Circus. You are my bad luck charm. I would not want any of my siblings there if that's what was happening when they showed up. No.
Shout out Majestic Circus, being a competition, fun competition, a lot of trivia. Were you
Ooh.
um were you surprised with anybody's trivia knowledge, or I think a funny thing was Kira thinking that hippopotamus was seahorse. That, yeah, I mean, she spelled it correctly, but totally in the wrong direction there.
Right. You know what? Some of those questions were really difficult. I've never heard that detailed scientific definition of a hippo before. I
Yeah.
honestly didn't know what animal they were talking about when they described it to her. Um, some of the oh, as a Canadian, I just want to say PSA,
I think Montreal is
Montreal is
not
not a
a province.
province.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am from British Columbia. How dare Marcelo not know
Like,
where I'm
I'm pretty sure
from? I'm
that's a
gonna
city,
unfollow him on
right?
twitter.com. Montreal, yeah, it's a city in Quebec. Quebec is the province, but you know what? I also understand that when you're up there and Matthew is staring at you, really freaking you out, your mind goes elsewhere. But yes, shout out to the MVP of the challenge of Aussie turning it out very, very well. I think I remember I can't remember the exact team divisions, but I remember with that team, there was a lot of, oh, we've got the comp beast on our side. So because we've got the comp beast, we're going to target the challenge beast, Ollie, first. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know if Ollie has proven himself in challenges currently.
I think
And then
Ollie
they're
had
like,
a
okay,
very
we're going to
bad
move on to,
challenge performance this episode. Did you see him in the touchy
honestly, Ollie has had a very,
subjects? Touchy subjects messing
oh,
up who had the pendant of power. Oh
he's had a
goodness.
very bad challenge performance in pretty much everything we've seen him in, to be quite honest. Shout out to Ollie T. He's wonderful. But oh my goodness, it was comedy hour. Every time I got to see Billy Stevens get stuck on a team with Ollie and just try and do his best to work with them. Bless Ollie's heart. But yeah, I think they going after Ozzy, they thought he would be the next person to fold. And you know what? I'm not buying everything that he's saying of like, oh, I only watched one episode of Ascendance, and yet I remember who all three of the first team captains were. I think he's keeping his cards close to his chest, which I'm excited to see how Ozzy develops. That's the other one. I wasn't necessarily so sure that Ozzy would be able to hit the ground running with the game just because, this is his first brush with any of this. But slowly but surely, I have to keep an eye on Ozzy. I think he's been doing really, really well. They've been, yeah, kind of like CJ. His strategy is low-key a little risky, but people have allowed it to happen, and now he can just continue going. So shout out Ozzy. He's a pleasant surprise for me.
Yes, I think these last two rounds, Ozzy has regained his footing. I think he had some good footing in the beginning of the game, but the fight at the Coliseum definitely put him on the map. But now I think a
Mhm.
couple rounds under his belt, he's doing well, regaining that footing. I wanted
Mhm.
to bring up the point though, Jodilly. Do you think that Billy Stevens is rolling in his grave in that pre-jury house, knowing that Josh just used his pendant of power and idled out AJ, a person that tried to keep Billy in the game?
Not just that, Billy's idol got played on Josh. Let's say that again. Billy's idol got played on the person that stood up and flipped on him to get that idol out of circulation. Josh
Oh,
got Billy's idol. That is insane. I am sure once Billy hears that, he's gonna be all up in, oh, I can't believe you did that. Like all of that stuff. But you know what? That just goes to show the nature of the beast, baby. Like honestly, anything can happen. They were like, I think Kira said something about like they're gonna want to go for CJ just to get that idol back in circulation, which made me think like, oh, are they gonna hide another one after this? Which it is like, I think now more than ever, we absolutely have two sides right now. They're not even, but like we do have two sides. I think we do have like Taylor, Rocky. I will throw Ozzy in there, and then we have like CJ, Josh, a touch Akira, and then just like the people in the middle right now. And honestly, those people in the middle, like I would be very shocked if someone who's not established on a side does not go home next, you know? And that's any idol right now, any pendant right now is going to be bonkers, bonkers. I don't trust any of these people to have a pendant and to use it for the powers of good. And I'm not even in the house, you know? It's going to be wild. And I can't wait to see. I it is unfortunate for AJ that like, was this his second time being eligible to go home?
this was his first time being eligible to be voted, and
Ouch.
I
First
don't
of
think he
all.
made the
Ooh.
jury here. I don't. There was no announcement about jury, so I had thought that this was going to be jury, but I'm not sure that it is.
Mind you, in my season, they did the jury announcement at the start of the next episode after the last pre-juror. But um even so, AJ going home the first time he's eligible, I think that just kind of goes to show like you need to get your beak wet. You know, people need to know about you and what your plans are and what you're doing. And it came up at that elimination argument where Josh literally said to Rory, I'm targeting you. Who are you targeting? And Rory tried to play it off, and Josh was like, no, you're not giving information and you can trust me. Mind you, can anyone trust Josh?
Probably
But like I
not.
see the point there of like, probably not. But I see the point there of like, ultimately these sort of unfocused players, I would say, are going to be looked at a harder lens. Not unfocused, but like AJ didn't necessarily have his cards out there on the table as much as an Aussie, as a CJ, as like these other players, and it came to bite him the first time he was up. And I think, I know I said earlier I see someone from the sides going home, but I can also see it if they're like, you know what? We don't really know what you're up to. So sorry, we can't trust you. I think we're in for a confrontational season. I think that's what I think we're in for Ascendance Bad Girls Club currently. That's what I think.
I mean, I've never seen um somebody that's not in the elimination speaking at the elimination. This I think this is the first time that has happened from Ascendance Live that I've seen, where CJ speaks up and kind of
I wonder,
calls bullshit on everyone.
I wonder what CJ's point to that was. The speech of some of you are snakes, and I get keep being doubted my loyalty when some of you are snakes. And he gave the directive for Josh to eliminate AJ. So I'm curious as to like what what did AJ do that you feel is sneaky and disloyal? I wonder if like Josh kind of threw AJ under the bus for the Billy vote as opposed to himself. That's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, that and the whole when after Josh plays his pendant and then they're like, does anyone else have anything they like to do? And CJ goes, oh, just kidding. And he laughs and not another person makes a sound. And
I
he's just
was
over there
gonna,
laughing in the corner.
yeah, I was gonna say, Jodilly, that I was like, people did not enjoy that one. I
As
saw
a viewer, I laughed. I
people,
cackled.
the people at
But
elimination were just looking at him like not happy.
and yeah, I mean, I literally when a pendant is played in the room, you can hear a pin drop. It's so crazy that after like 3 seasons, I don't think anyone has successfully like avoided a pendant play. Like we started splitting votes in this franchise, and honestly, I get it. I was a part of it, but oh my gosh, the day we start doing that is the day we make it as a community, but not today, unfortunately.
Not today, and super sad for AJ. Hopefully we can get him on the podcast for an exit interview coming up soon. Always fun talking to him. Sure, it's always tough getting, pented out of a game, but really excited to pick his brain. Jodely, is there anything else that we haven't covered up to this point that you want to talk about before I stop this coverage?
Touchy subjects. The fact that Rocky and Drew, I Survivor Pod, both not only found the same advantage, but both got the same touchy subjects thing of, oh, we're both all stars. I was like, oh, that's so cute. How wonderful. Number two, who um who would you never vote for to win at the end? Ollie Tanvir. Do you agree with that?
I do. I do. I agree
Okay.
that if Ali gets to the end, he's going to have a tough time um, convincing people of what he did at this point. Obviously, a lot of game left to
Yeah.
play, but similar to Marcelo, I think Marcelo might have a better time explaining what he's done. I think a lot of people will see Ali as more of like comedic relief. I feel like they might not take him seriously. What do you think?
I've been lumping Ollie and Marcelo in my head so much because to me, I feel like they're playing very similar games of they have connections in the middle,
They're very
but
floatery.
right now, yeah, floatery. And I think right now, I don't think that the call to action has really arrived to either of them, but that call of action will arrive. And it will depend on if you can use those connections in the middle correctly. I I wonder, to be honest, I do agree that Marcelo seems a little bit more capable to have a better read on the group as a whole to make a gunfire shot that like sticks. But honestly, you never know until you're there. So I would I would I do understand Ollie being um no one wants to vote for him right now, but I think we're still painting that picture. I will have to see what happens. And last other thing. Everyone's best friend, Kira Delaney. Were you surprised? I was surprised.
I thought it would have been Kira or Taylor. Those were the two people that I thought would get that.
Thinking Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Taylor was
Thinking
thinking
Taylor or
Taylor,
AJ.
right?
Kira, I have to keep an eye on her too, because I think she also is in that sort of Ollie Marcello territory. I think the difference is she has already actively like done like things in the game. Like she kept CJ's name out that one round. Made sure that her own name wasn't going out the first time she was vulnerable. I think Kira's kind of dark horsing me right now. And especially no one's gonna trace. And I everyone loves her. Everyone thinks that she's the best friend. I gotta keep an eye on Kira. I started out on here with her, and then I went with here on her, and she's climbing. She's climbing for me. I'm a Kira fan. It's true.
I'm a Kara fan too, and a lot of people have been pronouncing her name incorrectly. So, you know, also guilty on this podcast, but the last couple of weeks I have practiced before coming on, and I know exactly how to say her name. So that's the most important.
And that's okay. If you messed it tonight, we can get the editors to fix it in post. Editors? Yes. 12:34, please. Yes. We have the timestamp. It's perfect. It's okay. Don't worry.
All right, Jodilly. Well, I appreciate you coming on and talking about Ascendance episode 9, Ascendance Live season 3. And I hope we can speak in the future about an episode.
Absolutely. It's always an honor to get on my life preservers and be lost at sea. Oh, you got upgrades to the raft I see out here on the ocean. I'm so happy. Congratulations.